How do I even begin this one? Seems impossible to make the proper introduction to a review such as this. Maybe let's state the obvious first. I liked the first game very much. Now I will check if the second one is as good as that, or is it as bad as so many videos on YouTube would suggest. When the game first released back in 2020. Only one way to find out, I guess. Fair warning right at the start, this is a very brutal game, only for adults with high tolerance for violence on screen. You have been warned. Anyways, I played the game and I have an unpopular opinion on it. I guess it is very individual thing, and I'm not going to try to sell you any of that bullcrap called it is objectively this and that. It simply does not apply to the artistic creations of human beings. Yes, you can objectively say the construction of a house is sturdy and fine, but you cannot objectively say how it feels to live in the said house. Everyone needs to experience it in order to subjectively evaluate it. Same is true for a video game. We can objectively state in what technical state it is, but each and every one of us needs to experience it for ourselves. Yes, I know how hypocritical it sounds when I say it in the review, in which I will say if I recommend the game or not. But you have to keep in mind that you can listen to the opinions and reviewers, but you ultimately will make your own mind about pretty much anything and everything in this world. These are only mere suggestions, and the choices you make are your own. Anyways, I think this one will be hard and long, no naughty joke intended. So buckle up your seatbelts if you wanna join me on exploring The Last of Us Part 2, the video game. The game picks up where it left us, but just few moments later jumps 4 years into the future, when it all goes forward in a pretty rapid pace, which I liked. Too many games have overblown and boring intros. Also, the main story twists and turns and surprises you, sometimes even makes you jump on your seat from the unexpected turn of events. I liked that very much because it prevented gameplay to go stale, and made the story more interesting, and made me sit on the edge of my desk chair. Plenty of time. But this is a sad kind of story. Same is The Walking Dead. People not only fight infected, which were once humans of course, but other people as well. I wonder if it would be really like that, but maybe better not to find out for ourselves. I will talk some more about the characters presented in this title later on, but I just wanted to point out the fact that we got chance to play as Abby later in the story, and I remember some people having problem with that when talking about the game. In my opinion, it would be way worse if we had not played as her, because we wouldn't have frame of reference to what transpired in her life, to get her to the point she found herself in the beginning of this one. Yeah, I know the whole main story of the game, which is the only storyline offered here, is very messed up. But that's what humans are, very messy, and they make a lot of stupid mistakes when under heavy pressure, filled up with emotions that they cannot handle in the moment. I hope we will never find out what would really happen with us in such circumstances. I like post-apocalyptic settings, but I would not like to live in one myself. Even if in the past I like to think so. I guess this is what's called growing older and wiser. You get perspective on many things as years pass by, and you change your opinions and preferences. Still, I wished there was a little less time jumping between chapters and scenes in The Last of Us Part 2. By some point I felt it was just too much going backwards and forward when it comes to different events in the timeline. I know it was done to hash out some things that otherwise would lack context, but all the same, it was simply too much for me. Still, these moments are integral to the game and could not be just cut off, without losing something precious. For instance, a simple plush shark triggered something and unlocked some of the nicest memories from my childhood. Funny thing how the strangest things can suddenly call back to the deep stretches of human memory. Interesting indeed. And moments like this were pretty numerous in this title. It was something familiar about the lighting, places, objects, like someone designed it especially for that purpose, to make us nostalgic about what was good in our past, in our young lives, when we were discovering the world for our own. I don't know if I'm onto something here or am I just going more insane by day. Who the hell knows? Anyways, the whole plot looks like it was heavily inspired by the Walking Dead series, and the never-ending cycle of revenge showed in the later seasons. In the end, I don't know which one was more messed up, Ellie or Abby. It doesn't matter, I guess. I know the story shown here was not to the liking of many fans of the first game, but I personally think it was the best possible way to evolve the series, as in the first game, if you experience it with your senses open and a sane mind, you could easily see the same themes as in part 2. It is just violent and brutal story, told very well. And I understand that many people did not like how it all went and they were very loud about that. But I, on the other hand, do not see the fault of writers here. Some people pointed out heavy LGBT propaganda, but I cannot agree with that as well. It was written into the story, but it was done in a way that did not hurt a straight white male in his late 30s like myself. I truly think it was a good story told in a very good way. Shoot me down, I will die on that hill, even if I don't know why should I, as I do not find faults that I heard about when the game was originally released back in 2020 on PlayStation. I simply think it's a good story, dark and ugly, but good. And I know all about the stories of production cycles of part 1 and part 2. I watched too many YouTube videos on this topic already, even if it is Neil Druckmann's dark fantasy realized in the form of video game, it was realized extremely well. And today we will focus on that. We will separate art from the artist, or artists in this case, getting back to the storyline in the game. What makes a story if not characters that play their roles as it is told? Ellie goes from that almost innocent teenager into doing some real messed up stuff. I don't know if I like it or not. Nevertheless, that's a game for people with iron stomachs. Brutality is over the scale sometimes. Good thing is that we can clearly see that all those bad things that she does affect her in a negative way. This is how it should be, and not in a disgustful manner where some writers treat it like character qualities and a reason to be proud. No, it ain't, as any sane human being can tell you that. I do not feel any malicious intent when it comes to characters building, and I cannot say the same about all the games that I played in recent years. Watching on YouTube all of that controversy around the game's launch on PlayStation, I didn't think that Abby was that ugly, but seeing her in high resolution and HDR, yeah, they kinda made her ugly. But that doesn't matter much. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. The choice to make Abby so muscular was a strange one, but there is a rational explanation to the whole thing. There is a scene where Abby was not fully grown yet and she was very muscular already. We have examples like this in real life. It is called myostatin deficiency, where amino acid that blocks too much natural muscle growth is not synthesized enough in body, hence the increased muscle mass in the individual. That simple, yet so rare. Still very risky choice by character and game designers. Also, I liked the introduction of Lev and Yara's story arc. It showed that Abby is not beyond redemption, and that she's not a complete piece of crap like Mel is claiming. I mean, Mel had a very strong reason to hate Abby, but still, our muscular girl is not a one-dimensional character, as so many people reviewing this game would lead you to believe. I don't want to describe the characters one by one, so I'm just gonna list some moments here that stood up as an amazing acting and conveying of the story in the manner that I liked very much. Scene with Maria, Dina and Ellie in Joel's house was just masterpiece. It grabbed me by heart and throat. Also, there was a cool scene around 5 to 6 hours into the game, the memory from 3 years before the action shown in this one, where Joel and Ellie visited a museum. It was very sweet and warm, I like it a lot, and holy moly, the scene where Joel finally tells Ellie the truth. That was just, I don't even know which words to use. You gotta see and hear it for yourself. That was some Academy Award winning stuff right there. And finally the scene on the Golden Ranch. Just one of the most beautiful vistas in gaming history. Holy crap, someone had a truly genius idea. But it is not all sunshines and rainbows. What I didn't like about a lot of characters is that they have very immature approach to hatred and vengeance. I can understand if you make teenagers and very young adults like that, which admittedly most of them are just that, but adults in an advanced age should know better by now. I had many vengeful thoughts like that when I was young, but I realized very fast that the things I wanna do to people who crossed me or hurt me, it was just too much. Nowadays I reduced these thoughts to zero, as I truly believe that torturing and killing people is not an answer to anything. I am not naive either. I know that it is needed to isolate the worst actors from the rest of the society, and if possible try to rehabilitate them. If not possible, then well, isolation till the end of their days seems like the only viable solution. But don't get me wrong, I ain't no expert on prison system nor ethics and morals in societies, so listen to what I'm saying with a shovel of salt. We need to talk about the contention point of many critics of the game, in which I think they were dead wrong. It is my and mine only opinion, and I might be heavily biased as a writer myself, but just hear me out. I thought the dialogues were very good and believable. I didn't see any of that bad millennial writing. I saw real people in a real story, and it is crucial for a game like this. I didn't like the lack of forgiveness evident very early in the game, but in the end I've seen the purpose of it all. It was done to show us the personal journey of the main characters, and maybe so we could learn from it. Also, I didn't like the language of Ellie, Dina and other young people. But wait, that's kinda realistic too, because oftentimes teenagers and even people in their early 20s use the language that I would describe as foul. I feel like an old man shaking his fist and saying, "Ah, those pesky youngsters these days." And yeah, the infamous scene with Abby and Joel and the unfortunate golf club. It was very brutal, and it made me feel very negative towards that small Fireflies team. It was the intention then, good job. I didn't think I would, but I really felt the loss alongside with the characters we've known from the first game. It's some strong stuff, man. When Ellie was going through the Joel stuff, I would cry if I physically could, but I just can't cry for over 25 some odd years. Don't know why, it is what it is, I guess. But I am not big on reading notes in the game worlds anymore, but here I have read every single one of them. I guess I do that in all post-apo games, but not in fantasy RPGs anymore. Not since Skyrim anyways. In The Last of Us Part 2 they are short and interesting, that's why I kept reading them. That's simple. Take notes over game designers and writers, pun intended. To sum it all up, I thought that writing in this game was top notch, so I cannot agree with critics that scolded the game for that. I think that they just hated the path that writers took. They wanted to experience a different story to the one they found here, and that's okay. But what's not okay is to blast and mock developers for their artistic choices, even if you strongly disagree with them. That's that, and I will talk about all of that some more at the summary, but for now let's jump into gameplay. Ah yes, The Last of Us Part 2 is a game indeed. The gameplay is very good here as well. It consists of good combat and out of combat elements. Starting very nice feeling melee combat, which is simple and very effective, how it should be. Also shooting guns feels very good and accuracy is rewarded heavily. There are some intense action sequences that combine high pressure chases and dynamic fights with guns and improvised melee weapons. It was amazing, I wish more games did it like this. But well, Naughty Dog is kinda known from these sequences as they are also responsible for critically acclaimed Uncharted series. There is a decent variety of enemies, several types of zombies, I mean shroom people, so humans with different weapons, but the most dangerous enemy type is K9. Ah, those pesky dogs and their sense of smell. They'll unstealth you in no time. Both combat and non-combat stealth is very good here. It is quite fair and pleasant to play, even if not totally realistic, but we cannot count on full realism, because then we could not have around 100-pound woman hold a 200-pound man from behind for more than a split second, and that would ruin the whole stealth takedown system. Of course, enemy AI could be a little bit better, which gets only worse the lower difficulty level you choose. The only other not so good thing was that your controlled character doesn't change one-handed firearm back to your chosen two-handed when they stop holding the enemy. I was kinda irritated by that. Out of combat, the gameplay scheme is very simple. You loot, you find a pathway forward, you loot again, you find a path again, and you enjoy the exposition along the way. Very simple and pleasant loop, which is, as I mentioned before, interrupted by dynamic turns of events and those hybrid sequences. Oh yes, we got some puzzles to solve. These are great. Game masters us to think a little bit without overheating our brain cells. Good balance indeed. We have the same upgrade system here as in the first game. This is good, I like it very much if I remember correctly. On the other hand, I hated the fact that there is a card collection to, well, collect. I know some people love these collectibles, but I hate them. And bloody hell, if Ellie's card collection was not enough to make me eye roll, when playing Abby we collect coins. Those bloody collectibles in post-apocalyptic settings. Oh. Anyways, I loved the atmosphere of the game. Like the scene when the blizzard starts. I swear I could feel it on my skin, even though I was in a room with temperature of over 26 degrees of Celsius. That was great, I'm telling you. This is why I kept playing video games for all those years, for moments like that. Good thing that horse can follow us around, otherwise it would be a pain in the ass to go fetch it every time. Another nice thing was that when I had no idea how to progress, the game gave me an optional hint that I took. There's nice ways to do things like that. If I remember correctly, it was the same in the first game and even in Uncharted series. Bloody hell, there is a lot of locations, and the Seattle city itself is huge. And I'm very glad we had a chance to get a look at Wolf's base. One of the best made locations I've seen. The scale, the detail, just wow. When I'm writing this down in June of 2025, I am pretty sure that this game has the set of best looking locations in video game history. Even the intro when you ride downhill into Jackson with the setting sun. Bloody hell, I'm just speechless. All in all, gameplay is, well, top notch like in the previous games of Naughty Dog. The only main annoying thing being that there is just too many key-bindings on PC. We could do with much less, but programmed better, like gamepad combinations. That is all. That was kinda small gameplay section for a big title like this one. But hey, if it is all good, there is not much to really talk about, unless you're a technical maniac like myself, so I guess we can talk about that some more. What do you say? Starting with graphics, which are amazing, even if not using all of the latest and greatest visual tricks from the wide deck of modern APIs and video card drivers. It is well balanced and scalable. For me, it's more than enough. Even when you see that some objects could use some more polygons, it doesn't really matter because everything looks so good. It proves that you don't need ultra path tracing and the newest Unreal Engine version. You just need very talented people to do the best job they can do, and that's kinda it. Yeah, sure, there are some textures here and there with not high enough resolution, but that doesn't take away from the visual pleasantness for me. FSR4 looks better than TAA rendering, so that's good and I use that. It is sharp and nice, and TAA looks like a soap blurred on the screen. I am really happy that we got such a progress in anti-aliasing quality thanks to machine learning in recent years. That's what AI is good for. Be wary, my player, my gamer friend. You need to set HDR controls in the launcher first, otherwise it will be all messed up inside the game. I made that mistake and almost resigned from the HDR altogether, which looks considerably better than SDR on my display when set correctly. I wish Windows was way better in setting and automatically switching to HDR for the appropriate content. Well, maybe in Windows 12 if we're lucky enough. But don't worry, if you don't have a good HDR display, some scenes actually looked better in SDR, like dusk and dawn skyboxes with some tall buildings, because strangely enough in HDR there is way more color bending, which made me switch to other HDR presets and finally to SDR in order to a proper comparison. I guess not everything was mastered correctly, it is what it is. All in all, both SDR and HDR look very good and they have their advantages and disadvantages. Animations are top tier, same as in the first game. Both body animations, face animations and even dead object animations, just best in business I suppose. Performance is very good and scalable with a range of GPUs. Most likely the CPU will hold you back when it comes to frame times, because the game is really heavy on central processing unit. I've seen on YouTube that even on the best gaming processor in 2025 it can be the case. I've used AMD Adrenalin Software's Fluid Frames again for frame generation. This is now the rule that AMD FSR frame generation in game is just not good enough. It has the upside of less visual artifacts because it has access to motion vectors of the game, but it is way worse for frame times and input lag than its driver level brother, which is buttery smooth but with some minor visual artifacts, mostly seen on user interface elements. I rather have a pleasant and smooth gameplay with some minor visual inaccuracies than gameplay feeling less smooth than that without so-called fake frames. Yes, there are some slight CPU stutters, but nothing so major that would destroy the experience. Just some little hitches here and there in non-critical moments. However, compiling shaders can be annoying when it occurs every time you turn on the game. Fortunately it is brief enough, but on slower CPUs I reckon it might be a problem. And lastly, when it comes to performance, in-game options, AMD Anti-Lag 2 was slightly better feeling than driver level Anti-Lag 1. Graphics are great, performance is good, what else? Ah yes, of course, the audio side. Music is top notch, consisting mostly from great acoustic guitar tunes. Very tasteful and appropriately done. And masterfully, most of all, of course. There are also some more heavy tunes in some heavier scenes and game levels. Sound effects are very good, but sometimes steps sound doesn't match the animations. It is rare but still occurred. Just a minor gripe. And the most impressive audio quality of the game, voice acting on the highest level. No sense to get into details, it's just how it should be in every voice acted game. This is the gold standard and the benchmark, hands down, no questions asked. This is yet another great PlayStation port on PC by Nixis. These guys are on fire with the stuff. I don't know how they do it, but I think they found the golden way it seems. First game took 12 hours to complete, this one was about 24, so it doubled, and boy, were these hours worth it. As you can obviously conclude by now, I very much liked The Last of Us Part 2. This whole game reminds me of what I remember gaming was like when I was young. I swear I had the same feeling when I played the first Mafia game. The mix between a video game and a movie that feels just better than anything else. I really recommend playing Part 1 and Part 2 of The Last of Us, despite what people said about the second one. It is still a very good game and we don't need to agree with the direction that writers took for this one, but we can just appreciate it for what it is, a damn good game. It really doesn't matter what I or anyone else think about Neil Druckmann, Naughty Dog Studio, or the path that very story in this game followed. It is a good game with good story, good gameplay, and technically is on a very high level too. I recommend this game to every adult player. It is sad and mad and brutal and heartbreaking and ugly story, but it is also beautiful and warm and hopeful and everything in between that you feel while playing it. But most of all, it is a well-told story that is worth playing through and experiencing for yourself. I have, and I do not regret a single moment of it. I am sure that this title didn't deserve all the bad press it gotten in the past. I don't know if we as people always were so divided in our opinions and views, but the more I see what's happening in social media, the more I am saddened by how things are turning out. But I will not go and condemn the whole thing, because I don't like some elements of it. I can appreciate all good and beautiful things that are present as well. I wish the famous, infamous and popular critics that blasted and scolded this game done the same. It is what it is, I guess. I don't even know, nor do I care if I have a hot take or an unpopular opinion on The Last of Us Part 2. I can only tell you what I think and how I feel, and in short, I think this is one of the best games that I have ever played. Simple as that. Ending this review, I just want to urge you to form your own opinions. Try things out for yourself, and then decide who was right, who was wrong, and if it even matters to you. The older I grow, the less I listen to others and the more I dive into experiences that I wanna have. Don't get me wrong, I do not do that in an antisocial manner, as part of my recent job is to listen to people and actually care about them. I do that so I can actually say to others what I truly think about this and that, instead of, I don't know, I really never tried that. I guess that's it. I don't think I have any more messages or thoughts that I would like to convey this time around. Remember that I wish you all the best, and I will meet you again in another great late review.